which had not been really familiar to the RIPE committee. Then it has the first evolved version of the cooperation working group in Warsaw RIPE meeting in May this year. Then Warsaw meeting is where the Executive Council had its quarterly meeting, and then after the cooperation working group, we had the EC meeting there, and then the conclusion of the EC meeting was to the Apnic. It would be great if we have similar discussion body like RIPE's cooperation working group in Apnic. And then at the same time, we have the history of the Ppac activity. As the not the standardized SIG, but ad hoc structured the activity for three years. Then the EC's idea was to combine these two ideas into two to have Ppac evolved into the cooperation SIG. That's the fundamental idea. Then this time, this is as I said, this session is was planned as the Ppac session, but my and the Executive Council's intention is to have this session as the BOF, because in our rule of the conduct of the SIG, we for a formation of the SIG, we need to have a BOF to have the consensus from the committee beforehand. Then it will be raised in AMM for the membership's consent, and then we can make it as a SIG. Oh, it is largely described here. So to proceed to formulate the SIG is first of all, we need to hold a preliminary BOF to determine interest in the proposed subject area, and find the people to volunteer as acting chair, draft a charter for the SIG, and we will seek the endorsement at the MM with having a report from the BOF, and then create a mailing list for the SIG, and call for SIG chair and the co-chair nomination, and the first SIG session. Then this time we are having this session as a BOF for the cooperation SIG. Then the first SIG session will be in the next occasion for us to meet, which will be in Fukuoka for the Apricot APAN 2015. And there we will elect the chair and the co-chairs. Here is the proposed draft charter, which is crafted through the Executive Council. That's read: the cooperation SIG is a forum for discussion about broader internet issues like public policy and internet governance, which are related to Apnic community interests, but which involve other organizations or communities. The SIG should focus on information sharing, outreach, capability building, and other activities which advance Apnic's vision for a global, open, stable, and secure internet. So, the last part, there's no pointer? Is this pointer? I don't think so. So the last part is just that copy of the Apnic's vision. Then it is what Apnic want to do. Then the SIG is for that by doing thank you very much, Mas. By doing the information sharing and outreach and capability building for the broader internet issues, broader than just mere the IP address management or the resource management, but the broader issues around the internet, which is like that discussed in the IGF or some other arena. And then that's, as you know, it is really, we have a very active discussion around there. So this is a proposed charter. Then, that's all. Then, yes, this session is to discuss the, whether we want to have the SIG, corporation SIG, and whether it be good for our community, something like that. So this is all from the Executive Council side. Then I'd like to have your questions, comment, positions, encouragement, objection, whatever. Nourish. Thank you.
Akinori-san, I am of an opinion that community evolves with a inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Community evolves with a more representation to people. Community involves with a wider engagement of all stakeholders.
That's right.
Once we try to limit that, we can be as subtle, as political, as sober, as polite as possible, but then we are limiting it. The long run of a community is always all about inclusiveness.
Yeah.
The strength of that community depends upon how we can engage. In this case alone itself, Akinori-san, I'm little surprised. I am concerned. The journey started as Government Advisory Committee proposal.
That's right.
And today we have reached where it is all about nothing but a Government Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Now, such kind of marches in a long run would be viewed by various stakeholders as a advocacy of promoting our own interest. We may try to position anything in the process. We may give many reasons of doing it. We may say that, oh, this was done because so such and such person was not accessible. But somewhere our intent would be visible that we never wanted to expand this community, knowing very well that government as a stakeholder needs a typical protocol,
Yes.
which even ICANN has facilitated.
ICANN
ICANN has understood that if they want to involve government, they need to have a separate platform for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seriously concerned that how we have got involved at the last moment and has changed the entire agenda of this committee. We need to really be more serious about such a sensitive and a long-term impacting decisions. This cannot be a last-minute presentation in my viewpoint. This has been worked upon, this has been thought over. If that was the case, why it was not brought into some kind of a discussion like Apnic talk? If this is a last minute and a last moment presentation, definitely I must say that people sitting out here, 99% belongs to us. So they will say yes to it. So I don't know whether this kind of a debate or this kind of a query is also required or not. Let's say yes to it. But if we really want to engage people who are feeling ignored, people who are may not be the bottom of the pyramid, they are at the top of the hem of the affairs. But even our own interest, if we will keep them ignored, they will keep opposing us outside. I'm a strong advocate of middle path between multi-stakeholderism and multilateralism, because every issue cannot be addressed by multi-stakeholderism. Simultaneously, internet cannot be addressed by multilateralism. And this all is possible when we would have an architecture of our building, architecture of our community in a manner where we have an engagement of what initially it was proposed. I think we should really not get into this kind of a very flimsy looking way of moving from what was proposed and what we are arriving at. Anybody can see through the entire thing. So in my viewpoint, I think we should go back to the drawing board where this government advisory committee was proposed. And if there is a change to be brought in, the author should be consulted. The proposer should be talked about. He should be told that this is the change to be done. And that's what the process is all about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your point is really valid. And then our intention, I'd like you to understand at least that our intention is broadening broadening the stakeholders to engage, and then broadening the we understand that the spirit of the GAC in the original proposal is taking care of the public policy into the Apnic arena. Then it is now broadened as the Ppac is a bit broadened to engage not only the government but also the other stakeholders into the public policy discussion. And then now our intention is to have it as the former SIG to make full use of our standardized process, and then to engage more and more. That will bring us the great efficiency to run the discussion. Then you are very worried that it is. Yes, I don't think it. We have done enough to have it discussed among our community. Then that's we should have tried more, but it is you see what it is right now. So we definitely have the consent of from the agreement or support from the broader community. Then if it might be our action item for the formulating the SIG. Paul.
Thanks. I thought I'd just mention that this is this proposal when it was initially discussed by the EC was going to be brought to the Ppac itself. So it will be a discussion within the Ppac about this proposal for the continuation of the Ppac. And I think definitely it was in support of what was happening with the Ppac and in an effort to strengthen it. Unfortunately, this time there was no discussion. There has been no discussion whatsoever on the Ppac list. And no preparation for this session. Neither of the chairs was able to come here. So although the EC has asked the Secretariat to make space for Ppac on the meeting agendas, and we did that, and that's what the session today was for, we actually had no Ppac content. So it became, the option was then to bring this proposal anyway and to put it into this BOF format and to have the discussion here. So I think, as I think Akinori's made pretty clear, there's a proposed draft charter there which can be changed, modified, developed between now and the next meeting if the cooperation SIG goes ahead. But I think I guess with Ppac on an unpredictable path where the Ppac didn't even happen this time, I think maybe that explains why it might seem a bit urgent that there's the need for a space to continue these discussions, and so let's make it a permanent fixture. So I hope it's seen as a kind of an endorsement for what the Ppac has been trying to do. Now, as for the Government Advisory Committee, I mean, I think that was a very interesting idea, and the point of that proposal, as I understand it, was exactly as Naresh said, to create a space. But if the space is created and no one's able to come, then we need to take a different approach. So, I mean, governmental travel budgets and time and availability is very tight. We know that. It's very difficult to bring government people into our meetings, and that's I think the reason why the Government Advisory Committee really wasn't able to create the impetus that it needed. And it's also actually the reason why Apnic staff tend to go to ICANN meetings, for instance, because ICANN meetings are where a set of governmental people with with these interests gather. So I think that will go on, and I think if Ppac come cooperation SIG develops, then I'd hope that we will.
Yeah.
In fact, I would intend to promote it to government people to bring them in, and then from that, if there are enough, there could emerge a governmental group that could meet privately if that's what they want to do. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, we have that was, when was that? To-
Can I top up one comment?
Sure.
I appreciate what Paul has mentioned, and I respect him, and I duly acknowledge in this gathering that today whatever Apnic is purely because of the gentleman who has played a stellar role in bringing Apnic to the stage, and his every observation for me is very important, at least for my perspective is very important.
Yeah.
In continuation of that, I have a comment to make, that if we will consider chair and co-chair as a community, then I think again we are limiting our thoughts of finding the ways out. If chair and co-chair were not accessible, for example, this particular reference we are making here, was the community informed? Was the group informed that please chair and co-chair are not accessible, if somebody else would like to take up this position or take up the role temporary, so that we can take this, our endeavor further? Whether government comes or not, at least government should not have a reason to say that Apnic is not a multi-stakeholder group. I really want, right, if you ask me, that situation should arise where government is being conveyed by community members, hey guys, you were requested to come, there was a platform created for you, and still you didn't come, and you have a reason to crib. This is called advocacy. The advocacy is of a long term. It cannot be of a short term thinking. And my request would be that we should really go back to the drawing board again and let government be conveyed sooner or later that despite platforms were created, despite the sessions took place, somehow you didn't even bother to come. So don't say that it is not a multi-stakeholder. And that is my submission, Paul. My intent is always, our intention should not be seen as nullified. Our endeavor should not be seen as limited or a self-serving. We should be always seen in a community as all-inclusive. And I have been telling ICANN also, that you can't limit yourself to the existing constituency. During the time of your existence, whatever the existing constituency is beautiful. But with an internet expanding to the billions of people who never saw this policy-making body, the constituencies are different.
Got it.
I don't want to get into that aspect more here,
Right.
but I want to limit myself to Apnic. My request would be, we drop this cooperation SIG and we limit ourselves to what initially was proposed. If not that, at least what PPAC was all about. Thank you.
Okay. After.
Hi. I just need to point out one thing, that it is just a recommendation, right? We still need to hold a BOF for that, which we are expecting it in next Apnic, which is in Apricot, right? Am I correct?
That's the best case we anticipate, yes.
Okay, so I just need to remind everybody that we have been holding a BOF for network abuse for last 5 Apnic meetings, and we haven't made up our mind to form a SIG for that.
Okay.
So even if this is a recommendation, SIG cannot be formed without community response. So first, we have to form a BOF. We have to arrange a BOF. If community agrees that we need a SIG, only then we can have a SIG. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's quite right. Adam in the best position to explain that.
Yes, I guess this counts as a BOF. So if the community here felt that we wanted to proceed in this manner, we could do that with the AMM's approval tomorrow. Friday. I'm so used to doing policy.
Right. How about abuse thing? Keep on doing the BOF for the abuse. Is that what you say after?
I took your mic.
Why we do have the two mics?
I have two mics.
I think I was wrong. This is a BOF, right?
This is the BOF.
So we
Yes.
are discussing an BOF, which
Right.
I was not aware of.
Right.
So this is the platform where we will agree that we need a SIG or not. So I think, as Naresh Sahab pointed out, that community was not informed that we will be having a BOF. So I'm quite confused. Although I'm in support of having this cooperation SIG, even to some extent it coincides with the public policy. I'm not sure what public policy we're going to discuss in it once we have a policy SIG as well. Or we have open mic in AMM to discuss all the internet governance matters, which we have been discussing it for quite some time and quite rigorously. So I'm not sure how we're going to go forward into this.
Yeah.
But even though I'm in support of it, but still, since community was not informed for this BOF, it's a last minute call, I have my reservation for this BOF. I'm not sure how to address it, but I don't consider it as a BOF right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Maz.
No, you stay that side.
This is Maz from IIJ. I think it's nice to have cooperation or cooperate
Cooperation
cooperation
SIG,
SIG, because it's nice to have the forum that we can cooperate with other government and also law enforcement and sometimes educational
Right.
segment. So that they can express their issue to the Apnic community. And I think it's better to have such a forum we have to not only outreach, but also gather the information from other parties
Right,
as well.
right. Thank you very much. Actually, in Warsaw, the cooperation WG of the RIPE community is really successful to engage the new segment of the people who can cooperate to the RIPE community. Then that was so beautiful. Then that's our image of the success as well. Then to responding to the Narish's point, we don't have any intention to limit something. We are being quite inclusive. Yes, we have been inclusive. By the way, it is open. Everyone can participate in this meeting. Everyone can submit a proposal to the policy SIG. That's what how we have been to be inclusive. Then the inclusiveness is not necessarily enough to engage a lot of people. Then the governmental segment of the community is one of the example. Then that was 3 years ago, September 2011. We had we are trying to explore the willingness and the interest from the government sector, but at that time it was not really successful. But in 3 years, these 3 years is really enough to have the very have the dramatic change. And this time, yes, if we proceed as the proceed. Not particularly limiting by forming the SIG, but we definitely need to engage a lot of government people, especially in a regional spread out. The GAC of ICANN is one of the example, but we need the Asia Pacific region's own discussion by the as Naresh says, multi-stakeholder. That means maybe including the government officials and something like that. Then that's our intention. Then I don't like to limit the scope of this attempt into just engaging the government. But we do trying very hard to engage the government, but it is not really our position to limit it into just the government, but being inclusive. Then we have the Axel.
Thank you. Axel Pavlik, RIPE NCC. Now, first of all, I would like to commend you for thinking of the coordination working group that we have in RIPE as a model. I think what we have established there in our service region works really well. The idea here was to bring the governments into the RIPE meetings and have them meet the engineers, and hopefully we would see some sort of an interaction between the two, at least informing each other about various concerns or thoughts they have. Now, that works fairly well by now. It's been a couple of years. On the other hand, we also heard and recognized the need of governments to speak among themselves to some degree. And at RIPE, we have recognized that and reached out and established the what we call the governmental roundtables. Roundtables are governments and working. Sorry, I'm awake for a long time today. The roundtables are governments and regulators. The idea there was that it is and I hesitate to say it's not an open meeting really. It's sort of invitation based. It has become a little bit more open, but the goal is to have governments, to have regulators talking among themselves and with a couple of key people from the community. Also, that works very well, although it's a fairly small group. I heard somebody say, was it you, Sunny, about law enforcement? Also that we have one meeting a year, typically in London, where the law enforcement agencies come together for their own meeting. And we have sort of half a day typically there and a couple of beers in the evening to chat with those people, that community, and the areas have all been invited, and I think they all have been there and have been presenting there. I think this type of activity is really, really important. However, on the other side, at the RIPE NCC, now we have started to talk about not that much multi-stakeholder stuff, because that has become a bit of a funny word as well, but we say what we do is open, inclusive, transparent, open. So that is something that needs to be kept in mind here. And the coordination working group concept and format, I think, is important to bring governments together with the technical community, if you want to call it that. Thanks.
Thank you. Very thanks. Masato.
Hi, I was very impressed by RIPE's cooperation working group, so I basically support this proposal, but I'm not sure why it is related with Ppac, because in my understanding it's slightly different in some points. Mm-hmm. For example, let me read a couple of items from RIPE NCC's webpage. They said this working group discusses the following. Then, second point is the RIPE NCC's current outreach activities will be reported, and the RIPE NCC will seek advice and guidance on future activities. And the third point says the working group will develop and clarify the RIPE community's position on issues that are of relevance to the public sector or on which a community position has been sought. I think in Apnic, we have such kind of discussion in AMM, not in Ppac. right? So I think that's the reason why I said I'm not sure why this proposal is related with Ppac.
Okay.
Okay. Then my second comment is that these points are very important. So I would like to suggest including these points in draft charter.
Right. Could you be kind enough to specify the words, just for your example on this? What kind of specific word should be nice and nicely cover your intention?
I think second bullet item is not related with my point. I think first one is related. First one is just said discussion about something, right? So I think it's too broad and unclear. So as I said, I think Apnic's current outreach activities will be reported in here. I think we can include that sentence to the charter. And also, this working group will discuss the Apnic community's position on these kind of issues, something like that.
All right, got it.
Okay. Just discuss is
Yes.
not so clear.
No,
it's
really.
not so clear.
Please, okay. You'd like have this charter more, more oriented to the mission.
Yes.
Okay, got it. It's a good point. What? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Adam is cold. All right. I'd like to have a lot of idea from your side. Yes, I had a nice clear point. Masato kindly had his point. Mars did that, and some other people. I don't like to push you, but objection, the different different position is very easy to make. But if you support as this is, that's that's enough for you to raise your opinion. Yes, I support it, for example. How about?
If there is no one, then I can buttress my point further to allow if nobody is there to speak.
Okay. Anyone else? You like it? Mayam.
Thank you for the preparation of this working, the so-called BOF. I suppose the working environment really changing quite much. Originally, Apnic more focused on the service area, but now during the recent last year and the recent development about IANA function stewardship transition, so more people taking aware about the internet development in the future, how to make it open, make it more secure, make it more stable. I think not only our technical community pay attention, but also the government organizations pay much attention. So the discussion today is an evolution path from the past, from the previous Apnic meetings. We really enjoying this interaction with the community in all the related issues, and also we enjoy the interaction or the learning process with a very successful model from RIPE NCC. So those kind of activities are really forming our fundamental ground moving forward. By looking at the Ppac activities in the previous meetings, and also you're also showing the participants. Could you please move into the status data about the Ppac activities there? You see, I remember quite clearly in the first one, the Indian delegation, governments make proposals and discussions, and also very good presentation given by New Zealand government organizations. Although it is really not a formal government delegate, but the people from from New Zealand gave a very good example how to make interaction towarding the internet cooperation issues, and how they doing regulations, how to promoting the industries, those kind of activities. But during the last meetings, you see the people getting more focused on discussion, less participants. So we think as a Apnic members, we really encouraging people not only participate in the technical issue, but also how to formulate a more healthy environment for our industry, for our economy, for our internet development in our region. So government, I suppose, the government is historically or by now and in the future still one important one of the member of Apnic. They not only need IP address, but also they're using the internet to conducting their functions, but also paving the way for our future development. So government participation is quite important. When every Apnic meeting be held in our region, so we invite government people to give a keynote and interact with our members in our Apnic meetings. So we will still continue doing so. So in this day, in this Apnic 38, we're also inviting. We're happy to invite to have the government people really join in our activities and showing their presence, but also interact with our community, and also give the message how their local government, for example, this time in Australia, government officials, what their vision, what's their support to develop internet in their local context, in local economy, but also interact with our regional economies. So this is the one way to participate, but also the Ppac or the possible future cooperation group will also more closely inviting not only the government, but also, as Mazasang said, academic people and more other multi-stakeholder or multilateral activity be held. So personally, I think the proposal is good. I support this proposal. We should have a more in-depth discussion, and from all different angles, for different direction and different opinions. Although we didn't quite get much feedback to this draft, to this proposal, but I suppose go along with the further discussion, the message will be showing up, and we'll gather more feedbacks and how to tailor the text and forming the idea behind this text to really letting our community have a healthy development in the future. Really very beneficial to our community, and then moving the cooperation even further, even in a wider area and more in depth. So this is my comment. I support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, Masato?
Yes, sorry, I forgot to raise another reason. Another reason is it's not so clear which organization or conference is the internet technical community in AP region. For example, in EMEA, Live has actually Live and CC, which is RIR, is quite combined. So they have 3 times meeting per year in same time.
Before.
Before?
They used to have
I know,
three
but
times.
and I'm talking about the current status.
Yeah.
Then actually, I could not distinguish which one is a live session and which one is live NCC session. Then in North American region, they have quite independent 2 organizations. Technical community is NANOG, and RN is a RIR, and they have Nano has 3 meetings per year, and RN has 2 meetings. And one of them are joint meeting, but actually from Monday to Wednesday is a Nano meeting, and from Wednesday afternoon, it's RN meeting. So it's still separated meeting, separated legislation, you know. Then in here, we only have Apricot as technical community, but it has only 1 meetings per year. So I think it's not enough number to discuss these kind of topics. So I think we should discuss more topics in Apnic meeting itself. That's another reason. Yeah, but that's quite. But still, you know my point. It's still Apnic meeting, so people think Apnic is RIR, so they don't imagine we are discussing that topics. Then, good evidence of this situation is number of participants, right?
No, okay.
How many participants we have in Apnic meeting, not Apricot? It's great difference between these 2 numbers.
Okay.
I don't see such situation in other regions, right?
You made a point.
Yeah, then Apnic also had, I think, they have joint meeting with other technical communities. I think we should have such things in this region also.
Right. Good point. Thank you. Any other comments? Wendy.
Thank you. I would like to echo some of the audience about why we need this kind of SIG or this kind of figure. Is we all agree that internet has been as beauty as now, even we have some faults, because we are not under heavy measurement by government. Do we webcast this session? Okay, I have to be really careful with my word. Okay, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay, thank you for laughing at that. Yes, we are very happy to grow up without heavy supervision of government, and the beauty of internet is we can self-cure some of our flaw. And also the internet, I don't really know other region, probably for the well-developed country, they are having the similar form already, but in my region, internet application has been roll over everything. They have destroyed the finance system, because we never know Alibaba is selling funds, and they sell really well. Actually, I buy some of their funds. The refund is like, I'm not advertising, but saying the refund is better than bank interest. So internet application has been roll over everything. And the ecosystem, we're having lots of new players in this playground. I think even though we are the IP allocation, we are RIRs, but we are not profit. We have the function and obligations to actually go out to the players to co-system the network system. So I think cooperation. I have been to RIPE meeting, and I really like their function as the cooperation. Whatever you call working group or SIG, is bring as many factors as possible coming to the conference. It doesn't matter is RIR meeting or is ICA meeting or IGF meeting. That's all we want, to bring more factors, bring more because at the end of the day, you are not working alone. You know, you doing business related to other parties, and you have different partners. The beauty of a conference is, one, it got very interesting topic, and the other is you meet very interesting people, and you find out that the thing they have done is very interesting, and let them know what you have done and to cooperate with them. not let them to stand in the way of you. So I personally really like to see this kind of working group to be set up, and I really like to see that we can bring more people working in different area come down to talk in the SIG.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is very reason this proposal SIG has the name of the cooperation. That's describe itself. Any other point? Actually, you get your mic back with you for further your point.
Thank you. Can we go back a little on your slides? See, every proposal, every advocacy has got two important aspects, technical and strategical.
Strategical.
Strategical, because definitely any proposal is a strategic proposal.
Yeah,
so getting to your technical aspect, can we go to one more slide which technical, yeah, that's right. Here, fundamental technical challenge I can see is Apnic 38, 16 September 2014 PPSC meeting didn't take place.
No, okay.
So there is a inaccuracy in this slide.
Okay.
Now, that may be leading to some confusion in the mind of people that PPSC has been dropped. If the meeting had taken place and it has been dropped, then we should be knowing about it. Community may be completely ignorant. Community is getting confused. I can hear quite a few confusing remarks that why PPSC is being connected to this SIG, cooperation. The reason is simple, because somewhere technically we are communicating that this meeting is taking place or has taken place on 16 September 2014. Now this process also leads to a perception. Our self-perception that we are all inclusive is very, very nice. But it is said it is good to be fair, but then it's more important to be seen fair. Are we being seen inclusive is something which we need to really talk about. It's not that we are being inclusive. We are not being seen inclusive. And the concern is RIPE on other side is being seen very inclusive. When they can have all these kind of platforms, why can't we have it? What is stopping us to have the government engagement? Irrespective whether they turn up or don't turn up. I acknowledge that the first time when the proposal came, there was a response. But the response was more to oppose it. Once it was realized that it can't be opposed and the march has started, people started coming lesser. And that's what we really need to correct and change. And again, it is strategic for us that we have a stakeholder not termed as organization. The last, if you can go to your slide, please kindly, if you can move to the last slide where you have proposed, which are public policy which are related to other organizations or communities. That we are already. Already we have a technical community. Already we have academia out here. Why we are shy in saying government? What is wrong in saying that?
Okay.
Is government a taboo?
Very good. Very good.
Right?
Very good.
And my only thing is, when I hear the communities who are altogether government in internet
Very
are the
right.
ones who are talking that government should not be involved.
Very right. Yes, yes. I have no hesitation to include the government as the example of the other community. you have my full support for that. Thank you very much. That's a really good point. Then other people. I think I believe that all people here with a certain opinion kindly express their opinion, then I think it's a time for me to conclude this session, and then this discussion will be wrapped up as the report and presented in AMM, and we will have the discussion at the AMM for maybe that would be better for us to have the broader engagement throughout the Apnic community, and that would be much better to have some extension of this discussion. Masato.
Will we revise this draft for AMM?
Okay, good point. Try. I will try. Yeah, sure. That's definitely on the online mailing list. Yeah. Are you okay?
On PPAC mailing list? Are you saying?
PPAC and the Apnic talk, I think. Maybe to have the broader participants. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's work on that. All right. All right, that's all. Oh, Kenny? Quick one?
Yes, very good point. Just only one comment. I support a proposal, but two questions. And the first one, and that's Apnic SIG proposal, so we still need to go to the SIG formation process. Like you say, we go to AMM. And second question, we still need to identify the relation between Ppac and the SIG proposal, because we still need to consult the member of Ppac, what's going on, what's the future for the Ppac. Thank you.
I don't think we have as the proposal of us establishing the SIG, we don't necessarily need to describe the relationship with the Ppac, but it should be clarified. I agree on that. Then actually the Ppac chairs and us are kept in touch for the this evaluation. Then yes, we can hopefully clarify the relationship of the Ppac and the SIG, and for the AMM. That's a great point. Thank you, Kenny. All right. Then thank you very much, everyone. That's this meeting is finished. Thank you. Who can answer the question? Where is the lunch provided? Huh? The bistro, something.